Good morning. Good morning, doom scrollers. This is actually take 3 of the same exercise that I've tried to do twice unsuccessfully. I'm trying something a little bit risky today. I've come to what's called the Subiaco Farmers Market to come and continue this 20-day experiment. James, I'm assuming the sound is working now. Um, oh my gosh, yeah, that took the wind out of my sails. I was all full of piss and vinegar and excited to try something new, and it all backfired horribly. My audio wasn't working. But let me just tell you what you've walked in here to today. This upstairs is the Subiaco Farmers Market where I live in Perth. This is where we do our weekly shop. All the hawkers here, where we get our food from, they've known Maya since she was a baby, and it's part of our life practice. Actually, what we do is we like building relationships with the people that make and provide our food. And it's how we're restoring that sense of conscious awareness in what we eat. So we're less concerned about um, the purity of ideas like veganism or vegetarianism. We try eat as consciously, responsibly as possible, but we also try to be real about what's seasonal and what's around and what we enjoy and what our child will and won't eat and what's good for our health and for our bodies. So it's taken us a long time to understand the wisdom of that, but this is one of the ways we practice that. And just imagine what it means, hey, to be eating food on a daily basis made by somebody who you have absolutely no relationship with and doesn't necessarily like care about you as a person or you them. What a disconnected, weird thing. Now, James, maybe you can also let me know if the noise is bad from here. Because obviously I'm sitting right in the heart of feral toddlers climbing on the monkey bars over there, and they just routinely burst into tears and screech and all the rest of it. But what I've done is I've abandoned my wife and child up in the market there to do their routinely weekly shop, and I'm just going to prattle here for 15 minutes. I thought it would make a nice change. Um, what's on my mind? I'm going to take a leaf from Chetan's book today. And what Chetan usually does is he reminds everybody what the 20-day challenge is all about. It's about me finding voice and coming to and just becoming more comfortable with the flow of speaking what's on my mind. And then what he does is he says, I'm just going to keep this to the most powerful, the most meaningful things that are moving through me at the moment, through my thoughts, through my heart, what I'm ruminating on and considering. Thank you, James. I appreciate that. James said the sound is good. So what's happening for me is I'm thinking about I can't keep going in these circles forever. As interesting as it is, everything that I have to say, a lot of people going, yeah, love what you have to say, but what's the so what? What do we do next? What do I do? What can be done? You explain this whole train of thought of everything that's wrong with the world, and it all makes sense. But what do I do? What do I do with the doubt inside of me that I'm too small or the problem's too big? What do I do with all the noise? And one person can't change all of that. And those are all relevant and meaningful questions. And while we wrestle with those meaningful questions, we struggle just to carve out a bit of mental and conscious space for ourselves to even process those questions properly. And without that space, we don't arrive at that still sense of self-knowledge, that discernment, that self-understanding that helps us actually qualify between better and worse answers. And we don't know what to filter out, how to do that filtering out process, which voices to listen to and which not, which things to do first in our lives. Should I meditate? Should I exercise? If I exercise, am I listening to this guy or that guy? If I meditate, am I doing this style or that style? What do I eat? What food do I eat? Who can tell me the right thing? And very quickly, we're back to being overwhelmed again, even if we're trying to absolutely take leadership and charge of our life. And so what I'm thinking of, what's coming through me at the moment is, and I'm working with a friend of mine who coaches and helps CEOs in the corporate world get their shit together, get their shit together. So his take is so very different from mine, and it's so necessary because it's this awkward, bitter pill that I don't really want to swallow. And we talk past each other a little bit, but he just holds a line, and his name is Rowan Belches, and you can follow him through Lockstep Consulting on LinkedIn. Rowan Belches, Lockstep Consulting on LinkedIn, and him and his partner Anne Hartsleaf are leading a very courageous conversation about the transformation of business to make it more soulful and soul-led. Yep. And he just holds this unwavering line. He just keeps saying, yeah, like fucking love it all, love everything that you're saying, but man, in my reality, in my world, things have to be digestible. You don't have to dumb it down, but it still has to be simplified in a way that I can take something that's inspiring. It's got to be bite-sized, and I've got to be able to digest it either in one space, in one go, like in a book. Hey, Jen, nice to see you here. Or in however you package it, it's got to be coherent. I've got to know who you are as a person. I've got to recognize whatever branding you're showing up as. There's got to be something that tells me who you are. It's got to be a tactical thing that lets me understand exactly what we're dealing with here and why. Help me into that journey. Yeah. And I get what he's saying. And my argument is always, yeah, but there's so much going on, and there's so much complexity, and there's so many threads that I'm trying to pull. And he said, yeah, that's your problem. That's your problem to sort out. That's your problem to sort out. So I'm thinking about how to solve that problem. And then I'm looking at the identities that I have in the world. What am I? What am I to you? What do you think I am? What do you think I'm doing here? You know, so often we look at someone like me who's doing something, and then we have only the basis of comparison that we already have, and we assume, oh, you must be doing what everyone else is doing. You must be a life coach. You must be a spiritual teacher. You must be a guru. You must be an agitator, a public intellectual, because these are the things I know, right? And I'm very vehemently none of those things. But then what am I? So I have to answer that question. And then how do I simply answer, along with the answer to that question, how do I also make that the natural segue into the way that all of my work can cohere and come together? So that's what I'm thinking about today. And the word that I'm thinking about is initiation. Initiation. I wrote a piece today. It's on Facebook, and I'll transcribe it to Substack and flesh it out and make it pretty and say it better. Here comes my wife and daughter now. Hey! And I'll transcribe it over, but the gist of it is what is the simplest distillation of everything that's going wrong in the world? What's the root cause? What's missing, and how do we fix it? You sure can go play, my darling. What's the simplest distillation of all of this? And I can describe the problem in 1,000 ways, but to Rowan's point, like, okay, help me across the line. What are you doing? Who are you? And what's the what? What do I do next? And the simplest distillation of all of our problems, we can say we're lacking consciousness. We can say we're lacking compassion. We can say it's too much greed. There's nihilism. There's narcissism. We can say a lot of things, and all of those things are true. But what is the root cause underneath all those things? I'm copying a bit of direct sunlight here. I'm just going to shift around. What can we say is the root cause of all of those things? Now, I'm not going to unpack the whole article here, but the gist of it is that if you go to Kashmir today and you ask the Hindus, they'll tell you the problem is the Muslims. And if you go to Kashmir today and you ask the Muslims, they'll tell you the problem is the Hindus. The libertarians will tell you the problem is government. The government will tell you that the problem is another government or the party that's opposing them. Christians will blame atheists. Atheists will blame religious people. Everyone's so certain that we know who the problem is, but there is a tide that needs to raise all of those boats. And it's not winning one side of an argument. So it's not that. What is it? What is it? And so what I'm talking about is it's an absence. It's a lack of initiation. And therefore it needs a definition of what initiation is and what initiation does. So then I'm talking about the symptoms of the absence of initiation. And when I start joining the dots, then it starts becoming clear, actually, that what we're missing. Yeah, it's always the other. Exactly. Not realizing that in our certainty, we are in reinforcing that divide between self and other, and we are othering them, and we are remaining uninitiated to the actual transcendent perspective. And if anyone is going to solve anything here, it's not going to be via tribalism. It's not going to be via a side winning. It's not going to be via a meaner argument or a sassier argument or a brutal resolution. All of that you have to see as a tent. And in Kashmir right now, there was a terrorist tragedy that happened with terrible religious and political overtures and undertones. And as I said, the one team will be blaming the other team for the problem. In America right now, it's the vague left versus the vague right, neither of which are actually anything to do with traditional left or right in politics. But side A is vehemently opposed to side B. And what they're doing is, if you can imagine a tent, they each think that their corner that they're dragging the whole tent down through is the top of the tent, that if everyone just listens to me and wins. But the whole thinking of that is broken, because all you're doing is you're energizing the other team desperately to push as hard as they can and to conscript people into their army to pull the other way, to exactly counter this impetus that you're trying to energize and steer in one way. And what's going to happen is the tent is going to collapse. What you're watching real time in America is the tent collapsing. What happened is nobody in that tent is aware of the structure of a tent, what keeps it standing, and what's the merit of keeping it standing. You can't hold both corners of the tent down. You need two pillars to hold the roof of a temple up. But what's the value of a temple? What's the consequences of toppling this of this tower or this pillar, or beating the other side? What's the consequences of your winning? And the ignorance of those consequences, the ignorance of that consideration, we call uninitiated. That's what initiation is. Initiation is being brought into relationship with your place in things and the consequences of ignoring reality, of ignoring the reality of renewal, or ignoring the reality of sustainability, ignoring the reality of harmony. You cannot make shit work if you don't value harmony. If you think harmony is some soft pussy skill that's only for naive people and for losers, or for the meek. When Jesus said the meek will inherit the earth, he didn't mean that the soft cocks are going to get it all because they're soft cocks. He means that until we can learn a kind of deliberate meekness, defy our natures and become a work of art, become a work of intentionality, until we can integrate a necessary form of meekness, not by being a Pomeranian that just rolls over like a possum and plays dead, or gives it all up, or of course not. Of course not. But until we can learn that necessary meekness, the meekness of mature leaders in harsh conditions 10,000 years ago, do you think they could keep digging their heels in about some superstition about the other, or about some story in their head? Eventually reality comes calling, and they have to start making decisions to face and counter and respond to the emerging reality. That is called maturity. And there's a kind of meekness that you have to learn. You think all your piss and vinegar and your argument and your so that and your thing that you're trying to solve for is some massive thing over there that lives in the lap of something else. But eventually the necessity that comes calling starts challenging your story, and you get initiated through crisis into the necessity of maturity, into the necessity of this, I need to be meek towards this story I had in my head so that I can fucking survive this moment. And what we're missing in the world at the moment as an institution is initiation. And let me just finish off with this. Yep. Everyone's wondering, yes, but what can I do? Fucking wonderfully, initiation is something you don't have to worry about anything or anyone else. You can begin with yourself. You can realize that it's something that you're missing. And you can realize that you want to be part of the solution much more than you want to be part of the problem. Now, my claim is that I'm facilitating such initiation. And it's not, as I said, throwing chicken bones in the moonlight or dressing in white robes and doing secret handshakes, right? That is cosplay. That's performative. This has to be non-performative. It has to be non-performative, and it's got to meet us where we are. It's got to meet us where we are, and it's got to lead us forward in meaningful, sustainable ways that we can integrate fully and authentically into our actual lives. Not in the jungles of Peru, not in a sweat lodge, not in secret circles. It's got to be right here under the ground, under our feet, right where we're standing in this messy, noisy urban reality that we find ourselves in. It has to work from here. And that's what I'm offering. And that's what A Better Way is all about. And if anything, I'm the great explainer, as Rowan calls me, because I'm explaining the necessity of all of this. And I can explain, this is my curse and my gift, right? I'm neurodivergent. I'm ridiculously some form of obscure abstract genius. I've had these incredible life experiences. I've got these incredible talents. And my only wish is to put them to meaningful use for humanity. I've just got to accept who and what I am and let everybody else struggle with the reality and with the truth claims I'm making. But I can substantiate and back my truth claims. Everything that I'm claiming can be proven and tested and tried and validated for yourself. And I'm claiming that I've got a healthy, transcendent, mature, progressive way of processing this intentionality. I can teach people how to be product managers, wise, initiated product managers of their own becoming. James makes a lot of good points here. I can see James is going to be a useful collaborator to a community like this. Anyway, a little bit of fire and brimstone, a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of vulnerability, a little bit of truth talking, a little bit of inviting you deeper into the reality of my life. When these 20 days are up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a Saturday service. I'm going to start goodwill circles where people get together just with the intention of holding and directing goodwill towards humanity, towards a project that we nominate on the day, towards an intentionality we nominate on the day. This is going to keep going. We're going somewhere. Okay. So get off your asses, get along to the A Better Way project one way or the other. Just put your hand up, send me an email, comment on this video, comment on any of my other posts. Come and find us on YouTube where we're doing some of our work. Just find a way to get involved and and I will make sure that I let everybody know how to participate constructively, intelligently, maturely, and psychologically safely in this process of initiation in a way that not only doesn't compromise your agency and sovereignty, but gives it back to you tenfold and blows this game so wide open, you'll only then begin to realize what is still possible in this life. I'm excited, and I fucking hope I've put a fire in all of you through these 15 days. But I'm literally just getting started here. I've turned 50. I've not exactly wasted my life, but it hasn't turned out the way that I wanted to. And I think I was built for this moment. This is what I want to do with my energy and attention. And I can't do it alone. But there's a massive invitation on the table here waiting for all of you. And to all of you who stick around and help me hash my thoughts out and challenge things and contribute towards things and help me with my audio tech problems when they don't work, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I want us to all appreciate again the enormous family, the human family that we all actually belong to, and the game that we're already playing unconsciously, that we can suddenly just learn how to play 10x consciously, more consciously. Anyway, I've got to get going. I've been told by my wife we're going to wrap up. She did all the shopping and the child minding on her own. I've got to go and make up. That's the reality I have to face. Love you guys. Bye.